And what's up, guys? Welcome back to the update. Did an update earlier today if you guys were paying attention to that, but here's a newer update, of course. And we are on board for a significant severe weather event tomorrow unfolding across portions of Illinois, northeast Missouri, southeast Iowa, and to northwest Indiana. And now, like I said, now Union City is now in that conditional EF2 plus tornado risk tomorrow. Just on the borderline near the 5% tornado risk. But like I said, don't pay too much close attention to like the colors. So anywhere in the hatch area has a chance of seeing a strong tornado tomorrow. Extending from central northern Illinois into portions of northern northwest Indiana and northeast Missouri, and then into portions of southeast Iowa. And a lot of the forecast models have the warm front now further north, where it's showing supercells tracking along the warm front and riding the warm front, moving west east along the I-80 or just south of the I-80 corridor, affecting Ottawa, Peru, Morris, Illinois, Joliet, Manhattan, Illinois, Wilmington, Manteno, into Crown Point and northwest Indiana as well. So it seems like the warm front could be shifting a little bit more north, but then we also have to worry about the backdoor cold front, which is the lake breeze coming in off the lake. So there's going to be a lake breeze that comes in off the lake kind of like this, and you'll have the warm front lifting north like this. So the lake breeze could shove the warm front a little bit further south, but I think that little budget's really strong, which is going to force that warm air to overcome that lake breeze and shove it back north and hold its ground and not get shoved too far south. So just don't be on your hopes for the cold front or the lake breeze to kind of hamper the day tomorrow. I don't think that's going to be the issue. I think that lake breeze, once it runs into that warm front, will have bubbling cumulus already late morning to early afternoon along that warm front as it's rising north. There's going to be a really warm air mass south of that warm front along the warm front, which is 80 degrees with a 60 dew point, or almost dew points, reaching 70 dew points in some areas based on the RAP and the RFS model. So we'll have 80 over 60 plus dew points in some areas. So when you have that cool air from lake breeze hitting that really hot and unstable air mass, you could have exploding supercell development within like seconds before your eyes. You'll have that storm shoot way up into the atmosphere, breaking that cap, and then becoming a right mover on that warm front, and then you'll have a significant tornado on the ground probably within like the next half an hour once that storm does get fully organized with a mesocyclone. It will not take much for those storms to be fully organized on that warm front. Once the cap does break, these storms will be very violent. Even large hailstones up to 3-inch in diameter, hailstones on because the atmosphere does support it, meaning lapse rates are greater than 8.5. You have 200 to 300 millibar winds, gusting over 50 knots in some locations. And you have the strong unstable air mass, which is 3,000 Cape. Even your mixed layered Cape is 3,000 plus. So all this dynamics put together, you're going to be talking about 2 to 3-inch in diameter hailstones, a strong tornado threat. And everything's really just coming together for a very violent day. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just really got to pay attention to this, because I want to be rolling out the chance that we could see a moderate risk upgrade on the last second once this event does unfold tomorrow, once we figure out mesoscale details on what's actually happening in the position of the front, how effective that lake breeze is going to push or shove the warm front south, which in my opinion, I don't think it's going to get shoved at all. I think once it runs to the warm front, wherever it's at, it might get shoved by 5 miles and you'll have an exploding supercell on that warm front. So I'm probably going to be targeting this area right here tomorrow. I'm probably going to be either in Morris or Ottawa, Illinois, or down to Pontiac, Illinois. Kind of somewhere in this area is where I think the areas are going to be affected. I think towns I'm really worried about that are going to get hit by a tornado tomorrow. I'm worried about Pontiac. I'm worried about Morris. I'm worried about Kankakee, Manteno in here. I'm worried about Crown Point, Peru. I'm worried about Peoria. I'm worried about these areas tomorrow because the models have been very consistently showing helicity tracks and supercells right in the warm front. So the warm front, wherever it stages, is where your strongest tornadoes are going to be. So earlier today it showed the warm front down there. Now it shows the warm front further north over here. So wherever that warm front is, just be ready for possible long track violent tornado producing supercell in that warm front. Won't take much for that cap to break. I feel like tomorrow if that lake breeze runs into that unstable air mass. So let's go ahead and break down details and look at the actual forecast models here. So here I'm using Weather Bell. So here's the surface base cape, and this is the latest 00Z run on the RFS model, I believe. So you can see lake breeze is up there. It's getting shoved south. The warm front is initially north. And that warm air hits and collides with that, and then you get a supercell that develops on it and moves right along the warm front. So that's what the current RFS model is picking up on. See the violent tornado perimeters moving it. You see that storm develops right there when that lake breeze hits that unstable air mass. See it develops right then and there, explodes on the RFS model right there where the higher tornado perimeters are, and you see it moves right. You see how it develops there. This, pay attention. See, next scan, that's 21Z, explodes right there on the warm front. As soon as that lake breeze hits that unstable air mass, it just explodes instantly, and you have violent tornado perimeters already with it. And it tracks off to the east, and then you get more training supercells behind it. So that's what we got to watch. That lake breeze is going to hit that unstable air mass, and it's just going to explode. So let's get a closer view into this. I believe we can pull up Chicago, and here we go. So let's back this up a little bit so you can see. See, it develops right there on the I-80 corridor. Lake breeze runs into the warm front that's on the I-80 corridor, and then it goes and turns right on the warm front, and then it just turns right and goes right. So let's go over to reflectivity radar, right? So look at this. At 21Z, there's an exploding supercell right here on the warm front, turning right. And then there's more supercells behind it. But look at this monster supercell develops on the warm front and tracks along I-80, which is in agreement with the 00Z HER model. The 00Z HER model, the post I made, I can't zoom in anymore. I'm sorry, this is as close as I can zoom in. The 00Z HER model does show the supercell developing and moving right. See, it develops right there. Violent tornado perimeters and position, everything's there for this supercell that's running in the warm front to produce the most violent tornado tomorrow. I mean, the dynamics are just maxed out. Oh, here we are. Here's a helicity track with it. There's a helicity track with it. Look at that helicity track on the warm front. Look at it. Stretches along the I-80 corridor and goes all the way east into northwest Indiana. That is a violent supercell being predicted by the 00Z RFS, and the HER model does back it up on agreement. So, very interesting to watch how this unfolds. That is a very violent track in the RFS model. I mean, it shows very maxed out hell core with this, with the rotational tracks here. And then additional supercells and storms behind it. But that thing rides the warm front. Look at this. It latches onto the warm front by the I-39 and I-80 corridor and turns right on the warm front and goes right over the I-80 corridor into Manhattan, into Kankakee, into Crown Point. It just goes right there along the warm front and just pushes off to the east. That's just a scenario. Like, if a storm latches onto the warm front, so move west to east along the warm front, just like a Union City, Michigan tornado the other day, and send a track and produce a long track violent tornado, it will keep repeating its mesocyclone. It'll keep passing off the rotation off to the new meso, and keep producing a tornado as it keeps running that warm front the entire night, or entire late afternoon to evening. But the models are being now consistently showing that convection could fire as early as 3 to 4 p.m. as the initial wave of supercells, and then have another wave of supercells behind that, and then another wave of the cold front as it finally pushes through. So, like I said, tomorrow the environment, this is like the best setup in the last year across Illinois. When you get warm fronts like this across Illinois, pay very close attention, because warm fronts across Illinois do produce tornadoes every single time. Every single time. Every time you get an MCS with a lifting its own warm front, you get tornadoes. Warm fronts on Illinois ground produces tornadoes every single time. Every time. You do not miss the warm front. This is the RFS model. Right? This is just the RFS model showing this long track. Now we go over to the HER model in comparison. And let's go back to 00Z. So here's the HER model. Here's the HER model. Very similar, right? Shows the warm front this far north, shows 2 tracks, right? The one north track is probably a Heller. Here's the right turning supercells along the I-80 corridor going into northwest Indiana. This is another supercell right there. So both the HER model and the RFS are picking up on the warm front being along the I-80 corridor and producing a violent supercell between 3 or 4 p.m. near Peru in the I-39 corridor, and then it moves east into northwest Indiana. So these storms that are right in the warm front will be producing strong tornadoes, 100%. Now, if it's north of the warm front, you'll just be getting very large hailstones up to maybe grapefruit or baseball size hail or tennis ball size hail. But supercells along the warm front will be producing very large hail and also a strong tornado threat. But this is looking really, really bad for people tomorrow, because I really hope these towns don't get hit. Because, I mean, it's going to be a very strong tornado on the ground with this event. I promise it's going to be a very, very strong tornado on the ground. These storms are not messing around. And just so you guys know, if you guys are chasing across this area, you guys are new to the area, if you're chasing along the I-80 corridor, which is the Illinois River, there's only so many river crossings that go north to south between Morris and Ottawa and other locations. And also to cross, get across from I-55, there's, the Arsenal exit, and then the exit, you have to get on I-80. So if it's producing a tornado west of 55, make sure you're on the east side of 55, because those crossings are very difficult and there's a lot of traffic. So just letting you guys be aware of that. But yeah, between both of the forecast models here, it's pretty scary. It's showing the tornado potential here. Show you guys a better angle on this. Let's just go ahead and pull this up on here. See that same track here along the corridor here. There's a box down in right here. And look at that environment right there. Look at that photograph right there in front of that supercell. That tells you that the environment is very suitable for very strong tornadoes. So look at that. Negative SIN's only negative 30 breakable cap, obviously. 2100 cape. Your LCL in the warm front is 352 or lower. SRH is like 255. EHI is at 3.5. At 0 to 1 kilometer, 0 to 3 kilometer, EHI is 5.7. I mean, the dynamics are maxing out on the warm front. This is nuts. A violent tornado within the supercell. Look at this. That's a photograph right there on the southeast side of that supercell. Look how largely curved this photograph is. Look at that. That's insane. That's how much low-level wind shear is actually in the atmosphere with this storm in motion. Look at that photograph. It is not messing around. It's not messing around. How about we click about 2 miles out ahead of it? Look at that. Look at that photograph. Look at the curvature in your low levels on that warm front. That's nuts. Let's back it up another hour and click on it right here on the southeast side of it. Look at the photograph. It's nuts. This warm front is not messing around tomorrow, guys. If you get a storm on this warm front tomorrow, I'm telling you, it's going to be another Union City, Michigan tornado. 100% guaranteed is going to be a deadly tornado tomorrow if it goes through any towns that are popular, because all those small towns and cities on the south side of Chicago, I mean, there's going to be people on the streets, everything. How do you think people are going to get around when there's traffic and rush hour between 4 or 5 p.m. and there's a tornadic supercell coming down on you guys with 3-inch in diameter hailstones and a very large tornado? Where are people going to go? You can't go anywhere. There's so much traffic on some of these roadways at this time. So you just got to be really ready for this and try not to be on the roads between 3 and 6 p.m. tomorrow with these supercells coming through, because like I said, it'll be very bad if there's traffic jams and people are stuck and all of a sudden there's a violent tornado coming on the ground moving east towards traffic. It would just be worst case scenario. But these photographs here are not playing for tomorrow. They're not playing. Now we just go over to the HER model here. HER model, look, showing those double supercells here along the HER. And there's a long track supercell over there on that warm front, and they're moving east. Click a sounding right there on the warm front on the southeast side. There's a HER model right there. Very violent atmosphere. That is the HER model right there. Very and largely curved photograph. All the models are in good agreement that we're going to have a suitable environment for strong tornadoes tomorrow. Probably EF2 to EF3, even possibly EF4 strength, because of how much helicity in the atmosphere. 0 to 1, 0 to 3 kilometer. It's getting very high on the helicity, the 0 to 1, even your lowest levels for shear tomorrow. Everything's maxing out. A very violent atmosphere tomorrow. And I think we're going to overperform on Cape tomorrow as well. So just please be ready for these storms tomorrow. There's going to be more than one storm. There could be training supercells on the warm front tomorrow, and there could be many towns affected by tornadoes tomorrow. So please be weather aware. I will be out live streaming tomorrow. I appreciate your support. Make sure to check out my sponsors on my page. If you need a company for tree removal or roofing companies, I do have roofing companies as sponsors on my page, and also tree removal services like Skyline Tree Removal. And you also have Prime Care Tree Removal Services out of Oak Forest, Illinois. I'll post them on my page after this. Just make sure to hit them up and make sure I have their numbers saved, because tomorrow you'll definitely need it for how many trees will probably be down because of these storms, with how much strong winds, downbursts, and also, you know, possible tornadoes. So stay tuned for later updates, and be safe, everyone, and we'll be out there. I'll be posting an update here pretty soon with graphics, and also my sponsors to reach out to you for tree removal or roofing companies, just in case you guys get damages. So stay tuned for later updates. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Twitter, and Facebook. I will be streaming on all 3 platforms tomorrow. If you have a business and would like to be advertised on my page, make sure to reach out to me as well. Stay tuned for later updates, and I appreciate you guys for watching.